I don't know how I feel about it. Even now, like as I recreate, I'm warming up to the Jack Campbell thing. I'm told that he's going to contribute, especially, against the run and things like that. Right here, right now, did they do enough to you?
I don't think so. At least that's what my gut's telling me. What I do think is that the draft selection, what Brad Holmes did to get Broderick Martin, giving up 3 picks to go get him, I think it both tells you what he feels about that player, which is probably higher than what other GMs around the NFL feel. I also think it shows the level of confidence he has in the defensive line developing from last year. We've got these guys like Buggs and McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson, James Houston, even Benito Jones coming into building out that defensive line with John Scott Jr., their new defensive line coach. I think they feel that those guys are going to take a much bigger step than maybe we all believe. And so prioritizing the defensive tackle spot, which is something I thought needed to be addressed early. I think a lot of people did. Prioritizing that wasn't as much of a priority as we thought. And I think he went to Jack Campbell to solidify that a little bit. But I don't know. My gut is telling me right now that they haven't.
WoodwardSports.com chat poll, did the Lions do enough to address the defense? Yes, no, or should have drafted Grandpa Joe? No, because it's apparent that character is important.
That's a good point.
I think one thing we know about the Lions, Spenmo, is character's important. And if character's important, I believe Grandpa Joe was never on their draft board.
Never on the board. He's a guy that abandoned his family. He's a guy that, you can't trust him. He probably lied in his interviews, like he lied about the fizzy lifting drink. Never on the board.
Never on the board. Daniel Bridger at WoodwardSports.com chat thread. I think the moves Holmes made so far in the offseason shows the faith he has in last year's starters and the improvements they made towards the end of the season. And Daniel, look, like my kind of answer to the question I just went around the room and asked is along those lines, because I feel as though when you look at the people that were coming back, because I was driving the Jalen Carter bandwagon. If I wasn't driving it, I was definitely sitting shotgun. I was working the GPS, all of it. For me, I was on that train also. I wanted to see something on the interior. They addressed a little bit later on, as you talked about, but still through all that, I do believe, and this one took a minute to kind of go back and recreate it and see where everything was. As I looked at it, I've come to that conclusion too, Daniel, where, the Josh Pascals and bringing Buggs back and Kaminsky, that's everyone's favorite stat, right? They were 9-3 when Frank Kaminsky played. So I mean, maybe he does feel that. I think that he honestly thinks we're good. We get guys, and the injury, the injury thing sways back and forth, right? You'll lose some guys this year that you weren't planning on losing, that you didn't lose last year. You'll get some guys back from last year that you didn't necessarily have. I think when you boil it all down, he does trust the depth he has at the defensive line.